And hello, everyone. Good evening. Another wonderful Thursday evening here in California, LA. Already 14th week in a row on this beautiful journey of Pure Love and Harmony podcast called About the Dogs and Awakening. And it was very exciting seeing all of your comments and kind of like, how can I say, those nice interactions about last time history of the dog and that actually blending into a right relationship with the dogs ended up are actually beginning the nice topic about how do I properly feed my dog. So feeding the dog has nothing to do. Okay, veteran, are we okay with everything?
Yes, we're great. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in, for watching, for liking, for commenting. We really appreciate it. And let's make tonight fun and exciting.
Yeah, fun and exciting. We are always in and about. uh, okay, so where we are heading today?
So, today we have a very nice topic. We're going to talk about pure love and harmony.
What about the pure love and harmony? Like, can you like open things like what? How did we actually ended up to a pure love and harmony world?
I think it's a culmination of your work and the work you've done with dogs, but not only with the dogs, working with people that have dogs to really find out and to really help them get to the underlying cause and issue of whatever they're facing in regards to their dog's behavior challenges. And you really help get to the root of it so they can understand where it's coming from, how to solve it, and how to go really, really deep, which is, I would say, your gift and your specialty.
Thank you so much. It was like actually, you know how funny was that when we did this brand discovery call with a really amazing team, because we was looking to kind of find a way to communicate this very profound yet very interesting and comprehensive message in easy and simple way, right? And that was like almost looking like a mission impossible, because for every one of you that follow me, you know how I really easily slip into this metaphysical world of interaction in between humans and non-humans animal. Good evening, Carol. Thank you so much for being with us and for being actually a part of this journey so religiously, if I can say. So from the day one, we have some of you that are actually following us live on this journey, and a lot of you that are commenting and watching the recordings, because in some part of the world, it's just the beginning of the day. Yes, where actually this Western part is just slowly getting to the end. So getting back to this transmission of the energy and transmission of the this journey of how did we discovered pure love and harmony world was actually so funny, because my brand was my name for more than 30 years. The brand was Sasha Riess. But then when we tried to explain what the Sasha Riess actually is, it was evolution of the underlying explanations of the brand. So it was towards free flow of excellence in the grooming business. So I was focusing mostly and talking to my colleagues in the field of the pet care, especially the groomers. And that's very unique field, because you are trying to develop the business as a usually introvert person, because oftentimes when the people would start to enroll in school, and when I would ask them like, why would you love to groom dogs and why would you love to end up in this world, they all said, I'm sick of the people and I'm looking for the job in the field of the dog care. But then that brings another challenge, because this dog world is not dealing with the dogs. Dogs are the object of the business, but the subject of the business is actually owner of the dog. and the owner of the dog is a special, emotionally emotionally evolved, if I can say, subspecies of the Homo sapiens, because there is a big potential and possibility arising from the relationship in between dogs and humans. So, and then slowly I tried to teach my students how to develop the business as an introvert dealing with the introvert people. So usually the people that has dogs are tends to be very introvert, regardless how happy they seem on the surface. Deep within, there is a reason why the dog is in their life. And then later on, this led me to this amazing discovery of understanding, like how the humans and dogs are on a path of awakening. What all of these actually awaken each other, and accept each other and respect each other, because next to a dog, a humans look like can develop themselves into much empathetic creatures towards other human beings. And then if we would happen to learn from our dogs how to be the best friend to our human friends, which kind of world we would live in? If I would become a friend, if my is my the as my dog thinks or as my dog is to me, which kind of friend I will be to my fellow humans. So then that led me to this discovery of my own working and relationship with the dogs, because I was a professional dog handler, servicing the high level, very very successful dogs that careers were costing like millions of dollars a year, because the clients would travel and fly me around the globe with their dogs, and then lobbying from the dogs, advertising and campaigning for the dogs in order for them to be known to that world. And those careers of those dogs cost really a lot of money. So when you are paid to do job, then you do it the best possible way. So I behaved toward those dogs in a certain way that I was actually not aware of, right? I was just doing the job intuitively, and I wanted those dogs to perform, to be good at the show, because that 5 minutes of fame that you have to perform with the dog on a show, it will either take it or lose it. It's a lot of ups and a lot of downs. Sometime we lose, sometime we win, but show must go on. So, and then I didn't have a chance to have those dogs as a pets. I was living with those dogs very strict human life, and interacting with them on a certain way that was very disciplined way, of professional way, I would say. So those dogs had a routine. I had a routine with them. Exactly, we knew when it's what to be done. We had a very strong connection, interaction. And I would see, because those dogs would live with me, I would see in time to come, I would develop strong relationship with those, that even they would be much more excited and connected to me than they would be actually to their owners. I didn't pay so much attention at that point because I was just doing my job. But then slowly, when I tried to explain to my students like how to develop this routine with the dogs professionally, we ended up discovering that this is a problem that actually exists within the emotional entanglement that exists within the home and the pets as a part of the family. And then later on, I discovered these family constellation entanglements that I now research on and write the books about. And actually, this is one of the podcasts that we actually go in that end. So, and then after that, towards free flow of excellence in pet care business, Sasha Riess actually developed some other way of talking the story. And then the underline of the brand was Sasha Riess, towards pure love and harmony. Because what I had with my dogs while taking care about them professionally, it was really pure love and harmonious relationship one handler developed with the dogs when properly conducting the relationship and communication on the level of behavior. So I know I didn't talk to my dogs too much, the one that I was working with. I knew that I was like making them feel like they are cared for. and I was providing them with everything they needed. And in return, the respect I was getting from them, they were doing their job, performing by for me. For today, I can maybe look at back to that time, and I said, what's the difference in between a circus dog or a circus animal, like circus, for example, circus tiger or circus lion, and a show dog? And I can say that I can see any difference between oftentimes the manipulation some of my colleagues would use in order to communicate with the dogs would be that if you do something good, then I will give you the food. So it would be blackmailing. If you do good, I'll give you food. That's complete. What's the difference if you want to blackmail someone by hurting them or developing some other, imposing some other, how you say that, behavior through the conditioning. So it's a conditioned behavior. And if we condition behavior, means that we want to impact consciously behavior of another, as we would say conscious animal. If we would say that the animals are conscious and we now want to impact that consciousness, so the dogs will do what we want them to do, the question becomes, do we have a consent of the dog to allow us to do what we want to them to do? And if it's done without consent of another conscious being, then it's an abuse. I'm enforcing something on an animal that I think it should benefit me and my lifestyle with that animal in place. But it's still enforcing. And the food can be used as a conditioning element, positive conditioning, but it's a conditioning. In the little Albert experiment, the conditioning of the fear was used as a conditioning to the, because I don't know, should we talk about that little Albert experiment? That's very impactful, or we shouldn't waste time now to that. What do you think?
Well, I wouldn't in detail describe it because you can look it up, but just what did it show or what did it prove in regards to what we're speaking about?
So there is a learning and leading up to a point of understanding the dog's behavior, or actually animal behavior. We need to go to, Watson, what's his name? Never mind, whatever. Dr. Watson. How?
Helen Watson?
No, it's not. Dr. Watson. Is it a Helen Watson? No, it's not. Never mind. It's a look up what he's like. Dr. Watson, and he said like animal education. That's the name of his PhD. A little Albert experiment study. John Watson, right? So John Watson wrote a very nice PhD in the beginning of the 20th century, early 90s. He wrote his PhD in the animal education and finding the link in between brain development and the education. How the mouses learn to solve certain problems and how that learning impacts their physiology. So that's very important link, and it does exist because he found actually that animals, or actually rats or mouses that learned how to solve the problems, actually get faster to the food through the labyrinth, or actually open the special box designed for that, and how he kind of managed to navigate them to the food. And then actually on the other side, the rats and the mouses that didn't learn about that, and then he absorbed the age and all kind of those things. It's very boring book to read, but it's very full of information, interesting informations. So, and then he finally actually found that amount of a myelin within the neuron of one nerve cell within the mouse that learn, the myelin
sheath.
Yeah, myelin sheath would be it would have much more myelin sheaths on that neuron than the one that didn't learn about that. So that's actually proved that more someone is enforced to learn, more the physiology of the brain will change, and it would be on a change of visibility. So it will be able to track, we would be able to track a change of the physiology if only animal would be impacted and enforced to learn. But then on the other side, little Albert experiments that also Dr. Watson was conducting mid mid 90s, he proved actually, he was having a little Albert, and then the mom was working as a nurse, I guess, in that hospital, and then they paid $1 to a mom so she could borrow them the little Albert for the experiment. So the experiment was going opposite direction. So it was like Albert was exposed to all kind of animals and colors, and he was like a little child wanting to know what's that, and then looking at that and trying to see what's there, and like very, very curiously wanted to know about those animals. That was the first portion of the experiment. The next portion of the experiment included very big noise every single time the animal or some kind of that stuffed animal or real animal, little how you call that, rabbit or things like that, would be presented to the Albert. On the background, someone would create a very big noise. So the little boy presented the connection in between animal every single time he wanted to touch that, the noise would be in background produced, that he actually developed the fear. Later on, you didn't need to have noise anymore. Any single thing that the little Albert saw was creating a panic anxiety to that little boy. So at that point, the mother got scared for the life of her child, took him away and ran away with him. And then the Watson later on said that he actually never conducted experiment till the end because he wanted to prove foundings of the what's his name, Pavlov experiment, that actually conditioning when losing the initial stimuli, what was in this case an object of the scarcity, it would slowly decline, but because he said, the Pavlov experiment was you give a food and then the dog will salivate. You give a food, the dog will salivate. You withhold the food but show the bowl, the dog will salivate. Then slowly introduce another stimuli, right, like a ring, and then slowly introduce both stimuli in the same way. The dog will saliva, and later on exclude the initial the primal stimuli would be the food, exclude it, and you just ring, and the dog will still respond. But a very important part of the Pavlov experiment was if you exclude the primal stimuli and you don't need anymore to produce saliva, later slowly, if you only introduce the ring, that conditioned how you call that? The
reflex.
The conditioned reflex would slowly start to decline. So you can't produce it forever. It will lose its strength if conducted on an animal that actually live in the present moment, without memory of that there is a food with a ring. If the food wouldn't be reintroduced, the reflex, right, what have we said, would be slowly disappeared. So Pavlov's conclusion was actually that conditioning cannot be used for conditioning for a long time if on animals, because the animals are very conscious but living in a present tense, present moment. And they don't remember for a long time until there is a ring that they should salivate forever because there was a food 10 years ago. It doesn't go that way. And then Watson wanted to see how that particular conditioning works on humans. And then because the lady ran away with his baby, and later on, no one knows what happened to the little Albert, but actually there is a, biographers and critics of the Watson said that actually little Albert died, but look at what? Completely healthy baby entered this process of conditioning on fear, developed the hydrocephalus, and actually he died at age of 9 or 10 of hydrocephalus. And then when they learned that, Watson and his assistant blamed on mother because they said that they wanted to show the experiment can be, we develop nice relationship with the animals and the baby, and then we introduce a fearful reaction when the animal is present. And then they wanted to conclude the last portion of the experiment was to slowly take away the fear and reintroduce a healthy relationship of the little baby to an animal back when stimuli of the fear would be released. But again, this outcome of that experiment showed as well that hydrocephalus might be also developed based on this constant enforcement of the baby to the fear in the process of experimenting. So that was so amazingly big founding, so cruel, yet amazingly big possibilities for us today to learn about how you don't condition anything on someone you really love. But then we come to the point of how do we train or how do we teach our dogs to blend in our environment without training them, without conditioning them?
We got a nice comment. That's why I do not treat, train. I reward with loving, caring, and soft words, no treats.
That's an amazing, Carol, that's an amazing way, because actually also soft wording and talking to dogs is a way to understand and express gratitude towards their actions. But also what's inspiring on that end is first and foremost to create an environment, healthy environment for the dog that will respond in the positive behavior. So every single thing the dog does, they do as a respond to our behavior, to our consciousness, to our present, to our awareness. And everything they do that doesn't please us on any level, it actually has one little reason: to get back to where the link is broken. Why are we not present? Why our awareness is not in a present moment? Why do we create our life as an outcome of present moment that we don't care about? Because all the average human mind will be locked in the past or predicting the future. There is no present awareness of the people thinking about what is my next step today, what I can do today to fix on my life, because that's how the dog would act and interact in the nature. What I'm doing today to survive. What is my day to day, and then within the day, hour, and within the hour, minute and minute activity, so I can create an outcome of my life and direct it in a way of the survival, for example, when animals are in question, or richness in abundance and spiritual growth and awareness within the humans. And that's why we are not present. Because sometimes we are locked. We are grown. We have 40, 50, 70, 60 years, but we are still childlike empathy and that so-called emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence people are not emotional. They're completely aware of the emotions, but also of the source of the emotion. When I'm angry, I know that I'm not angry because the circumstances around me are creating the anger in me. No, the circumstances around me trigger something that's broken far back in the past, that it impacted me. So now if you make me angry, you pay the price for my father's action that I never healed. So I get angry at you, but it's nothing to do with you. It's to do with something that you trigger within me. So the emotional intelligent people are always searching for the link, broken link. And the dogs can lead us to that link. And then what I say, when we come to the point of understanding the pure love and harmony, the pure love, it's purity in it. The purity in the love means that you are the way you are, the perfect example and perfect on the perfect level of your own spiritual, mental, and physical awareness. And there is not mine to judge. And if I can accept you the way you are, then I don't have to blame you for nothing. No anger, no nothing. It's just kind of purity. And then slowly that brings harmony in our relationship. It's not me that makes you angry. I'm triggering something that's unhealed yet. No matter how old are you. And the dogs, and they, look at now, if I'm in a present moment triggering your childhood, and we have a problem with the dog that doesn't want to behave the way we want, and we train the dog, we impact the dog with, and it's always like we're going to impact one behavior and we solve it one behavior, then it will turn in something else. Then we will call maybe the same trainer, then the trainer, because he fixed last time, so now he fixed this time, and we called him in 3 months again, but now it's not this, now it's something else. And this constant circle of dogs are doing something, and then we fix this one, and the other outcome of the other behavior challenge and problem comes. Why? Because this dog is taking us back to a moment where the link of what's holding us away from the present moment is taking our attention. But you know what's the biggest discovery of that? It's not conscious. It's deeply unconscious, rooted problem that we are actually not even aware of that. How we can see that there is a problem and broken link in the results of the life we have. Broken relationship with the money, with the business, with the partners, with the people, with the dogs, and then there is problem in we experience all kind of the abuse on the emotional level, mobbing, how you call that? Bullying in the schools, bullying here, bullying there. Why? Is because we are always repeating the trauma that maybe happened to my mother. I'm living it in loyalty. I'm not even aware of that. But my soul is not here to drive this force of the body and mind to control the present moment. My soul is frozen in the childhood of my mom, in the childhood of my dad, in their awareness far away, there somewhere, in the time that doesn't exist. And the dogs know that. How would they know that? Because they are a creature of the moment. How did you say nicely about the time?
Eternal now.
Yeah. The dog lives eternal now. Even if you go to a walk for an hour, or if you go out in the market for 5 minutes, or you go to a road trip for 5 days, it's eternal now. You left and you came. How long was that you was away? It doesn't count. Because for them always is now. But for whom is not now? For our subconscious is not now. Because if you can make me angry, it's meaning that I still see in someone outside myself my father. And now you need to pay the price of my relationship with my father. It's not fair. So the dogs are taking us back. Wake up. Because you are locked in a time that doesn't exist anymore. And this internet is a very dangerous place if used and misused. Because with this, what we are doing now, we are compressing the space. So you watch us from the Australia or from Serbia, there is no space in between me and you. Internet sucks the space. So when the internet sucks the space, there is no space. We are in the same room. But then you are watching the recording. The recording freezes the time. So when you watch recording on internet, you are watching the recording within no time and no space. And that's also a dangerous thing, because if you watch this recording today or this live today, it's one level of the consciousness and our awareness. When I'm talking to you, and the way you are able to absorb this is coming from your level of consciousness and awareness of the present moment. If you would come back 3 days later, it's not the same person that is listening to the same recording that's coming from the past. So the outcome of your listening the same recording, the feelings, emotions, and ideas of what you can, even if you are watching it for the first time as a recording, and for the second time as a recording, and you watch, for example, this episode, and you come back in 2-3 days, the outcome and feelings and emotions towards the episode wouldn't be the same, because this will be locked in time. And for this particular episode, it will remain on November 17 at 7:30 p.m. forever. And when you ever watch this episode, it will be November 17, 7:30 p.m. 2022. What will change? It will the perception of the people and a person that observes the streamed and locked and freezed words in November 17. But that's the same picture with no space and no time happens, that's locked within us in our subconsciousness, but happened where we were babies, happened to our mom, happened to our dad, happened to their parents or the parents of their parents, or even we don't know when. Because only for us to sit here and evaluate this wonderful idea of thinking that we talk and then we create and we have a free will, and then whatever we do is expression of our free choices and freedom and everything of that, you need to understand that only 1,000 years ago, that's halfway through the Jesus time, birth of Jesus, let's say, take this to 2022, how do we count a time? From the day when Jesus was born. So halfway through that history, there is 33 generations of the people needed to be. Can you pull out my, let's see, so I don't want to tell you. Can you just share something with the people? Because...
Yeah, I just think it's really interesting what you told, that the classical conditioning is very easily, it's not sustained. So when the stimuli is taken away, the behavior is quickly unlearned. And I just think that's, really significant, especially if we're talking about dogs and how the traditional training uses, classical conditioning. You use a reward or something to stimulate a certain behavior, and then you get that desired behavior. But then what happens if you're in a situation that you don't have that reward? Or what if, over time the dog picks up a new behavior that you're not happy with? So it's really about developing a constant good behavior that's not dependent upon rewards or treats or manipulation or conditioning, where the dog is doing the right thing because he respects his owner.
Yeah. So listen this. So it's I was doing this research for my another page that I run. It's systemic constellation workshops that I conduct, the Order of Harmony. And she says, in order for us to be born and be here and now enjoy this moment of the life and our interaction, we needed 2 parents, 4 grandparents, 8 great-grandparents, second great-great-parents are 16, third great-great-parents are 32, and then we keep going and going and going. And 38th generation in behind, we have 38 great-grandparents, and you know how many of them? 1,911,511,627,776 people are needed to be born, and it's only 1,200 years ago and 41 generation of the people. So for us to sit here, it's almost mathematically impossible that so many destinies were needed, and it's only 1,200 years ago. That's for the history completely irrelevant number. So 1,200 years ago was living, and we were away 41 generations as of today. And in order for us to be here, 1.1 trillion people are needed, direct, only mothers and fathers, for only to get river of love forward, life forward. So how this idea of I-ness and self-awareness and selfness comes from this, like I'm the one, I'm the chosen one, I'm different than any one of them. I have a right to do something they didn't do. And you know what? My right to do it comes from possibility of me to do it because I'm alive. In the age of wars, pandemic, all kind of ideas, how the human should run the life or not, for us to be born, it's almost impossible. Not only to get birth, the parents to give birth, but the baby to survive and to live long enough that under no matter which circumstances, the river of life would go forward. To my great-grandfather, great-grandfather actually, the father of my mother, both father of my mother and father of my father. The father of my father was killed at age of 18. So he was a young boy killed in a blood revenge that was existing in between our family and one another Muslim family. And that blood revenge was existing for 150 years in the history of those two families, our two families. And my father's father was killed when he was age of 18. So my dad had only 3 months at that time, maybe, 1 year. He was already 1 year. And was enough for him to move on with his life, leave that little village, go into a big city, meet my mom, and 50 years later, here I'm sitting in front of you, and my son is thinking about his future and his life and his uniqueness. But that's somehow scary to think that in that possibility of almost impossibility for us to meet today lays my uniqueness. It's not there. And that's the scary part. Because if we think that everything we do is just outcome of our free will, we would be very easy to manipulate by anyone, by corporation, by government, by teachers, by school, by parents, by whomever you want, name it. He has a right to manipulate as more as we think there is no place for manipulation. Not that they do it consciously. Everyone tries to do best. The impact of the kids, family to a kids is for the best reason. The government thinks that they are doing the best when they are going to war. The other ones are thinking they are doing the best when they protect. The other ones are thinking that everyone is doing everything from the best possible idea that they are protecting someone from something. But if we think that those ideas are coming in our mind just because we are so different, then we would be very easily triggered by the lot of things that happen to some of these 1.1 trillion people in the 41 generation before we are today. So what the dogs are doing with their behavior, they are taking us to a broken link. How to find a broken link? By observing the dog's behavior and trying to see the metaphor in their behavior. When the behavior changed, my dog started to bite when I started to doing this. When I take away attention from the dog, and look at your life. So what initially triggered dog's behavior to start happening, that was actually originated in your life events. Someone was giving a birth, someone died, someone came, something happened, someone was abused, someone was missing from the family. And all of those actions that leaves us speechless in our life, like that kind of grew us, that help us grow, are actually moments when we are choosing, do we want to or answer the calling of death, or to answer to embark the boat that float through the river of life. We don't need to swim through the life. We need to float, and we need to let us be driven wherever we need to go. And then the life showers abundance for those one that doesn't reject life calling. The life is not calling us. We are living the life. What is calling us in the energies of the dead ones, descended ones, that are not acknowledged, doesn't have a right to exist. And those energies want just to belong. Where to belong? In our heart, the way they are. That's all. I was here before you. I needed to live or I needed to die for you to have all of these possibilities today. Because if I wouldn't live enough longer, or maybe if I wouldn't die, you wouldn't be here today. And that burden is too big for one mind and the body that's not bulletproofed for it's easy to be challenged by all kind of little things will trigger those voices of the souls that are actually calling us to answer, and then entire our life got that smell of death. Not necessarily we're gonna die, but everything we try gonna fail. Our relationship gonna die, our business will die, our bank account will die, our dog will die, everything is dying, is dying, is dying. Why? Because entire life is focused on death. How to transfer that? It's to observe the truth and say yes to the truth. Yes, it is the way it is, without judgment, without even giving any sense of the emotions that will take that task, kako se kaže vaga? Scale to, oh, if I would wearing their shoes, I wouldn't do that. Or good, they are great because they did that. No. Soon we choose the side. We are not in peace. We are not in harmony. So for 30 years, Sasha Riess was towards pure love and harmony. And now, where we are with this, everything we talk, everything we produce, everything we do, it's in the world of the pure love and harmony. Because finally, I can articulate. It's very complicated, but it's still able to be articulated. And you don't need to agree. You don't need to, I don't ask you to consent nothing to this. But there will be time when someone will come to this November 17 of 2022, and it will be these thoughts of mine and this present moment will be freezed in no time and no space with this recording. And then it will inspire someone else to look at his life from the point of let's start living the life. Let's start to float through the life. Let's don't battle anymore with the life, because we can't win that. We can't win. We need to take a cross that we got on the birth, and we need to take it proudly through the life. And also, not only us, we need to allow the destiny to everyone, to our parents, to their parents, to our brothers and sisters, and born and unborn children, and ones that had a chance, and the other ones that used and abused that chance and did something wrong. We need to allow everyone everything. Because soon we judge. Without, for example, there is a victim and there is a perpetrator. And we judge perpetrator without being accredited by the victim to do that. We take a burden of the perpetrator on us. We weaken the victim, and then the victim can't grow from that experience and the victim actually gets a burden on a perpetrator on their end, and then the victim and everyone that supports, and it's again the perpetrator, they become a perpetrator of the perpetrator. So then we make a big perpetrator become a victim of the ones that are preventing. And what's the healing of that? Yes, that is the way it is. Full stop. And the healing, the real deep soul healing, starts from there. It is as it is. Yes, that's how it is. And that gets us a chance to move away from the moment when that happened. Because we might have 50 years, but deep within us, our emotions and our emotional state might be of the child of 5 or a baby, because something happened. And the only healing, the good way, the good teacher, the good psychologist, the good therapist would every single time look for those links. When that happened, and then it would be taking your hand and take you back to that place to see the place from the safe distance with the 50 years of survival and take you away, defroze your soul and your time. And then you become aware that now we don't need anyone to take care about our little wounded child within us. We can do it ourselves. And the dogs are the best psychotherapists any one of us can have. Only we need to learn the language. That's calling of life. That's river of life that comes through them. And then the pure love and harmony, the pure love means purity of the truth. The truth is that the past experiences and the history can't be changed. Nothing if someone and then win, then if that's, no. That's immediately we taking burden of wanting to be God and go back and fix something that's infixable. Why? Because that's what the dogs are teaching us. Not forgot, heal, and then raise on those wings. Take a wings from there, not a burden, because we survived. No matter what experience happened, we survived. So it's not a victim, it's a winner. But that experience needs to be taken out from the victimhood context and put in the winner situation. And then the winner doesn't perpetrate. No one. Neither dog, neither best friend, neither husband, neither money, neither business, neither relationships, neither environment, neither world. The winner takes it all. But the little child that experienced trauma, that froze in that time, that now has a 50 years, is not aware of the winnerhood outcome of that terrible situation. But look at the dogs. Look at the little Albert. We can take it forever. Why the dogs are able to forget so fast if the stimuli are not present? Because they are living in a moment and they see that that's false picture painted on the screen of their mind. It's irrational. But for humans, it's so irrational that produces, again, on the level of body excitement, those hormones and those emotions that we would experience the same settings like 50 years ago. Something triggers the setting. It might look the same, and now we fear something that doesn't exist anymore. The dogs are key to those links. How do you know that we don't live in the present moment? Look at the outcome of our actions. Easy as that. How the heck I created this outcome? How I want to be for example, everyone wants to be everyone claims that I want to be a CEO, I want to be in C-suite, I want to do this, I want to do that, but all of those people kind of end up having not be able to recognize the emotional partner. How can you be reliable CEO if you are not able to find yourself a right soulmate, to marry, to have an amazing life with your soul, with your spouse? How can I claim that I can do anything right if I'm not able to choose properly my soulmate? How then I know that if I'm not able to live in a valuable relationship, that all other of my decisions are right? They're not. If I force myself to stay in a relationship I don't like and enjoy, and still don't work on that, understanding to find my space, like, okay, I love this girl or guy for 2, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 50 years, but now something's wrong. I don't see him anymore as I used to do. I feel him more like a brother than like a man. Or whatever is going on in this relationship. Who is he now? And if I don't start working and asking those questions, better be careful before I promise myself to a people in the company. Or better, before I promise myself to changing the world. But be careful before you put yourself in the office. If you're not able to find yourself a right partner. Go out and change climate change. Think that you can make a right decision on a political level, that you can choose the president, that you have a right and ability to choose the president that will govern your country for 4 years if you are not able to pick up your partner. How that can happen? I can't live with my partner because I don't know how to pick up out 8 billion people is out there, and every single time I fail to pick a relationship. And then I know that if I vote for this or for that, it will change. Nothing will change. Nothing will change. And we see that over and over and over and over and over because it's not a problem outside. The problem is within. And until I don't have a peace within, there will be a wars outside, and then this attack that one, and that one attack this one. Since the World War II is over, there was not a free day that somewhere in the world there was not a conflict of the oružani sukob. How you say that? Weapon war. Not a single day without a war. So we live in a world of constant war. It just doesn't happen in front of our doorstep, and we don't see it on the news. But that doesn't mean it's not happening. And all of this chaos that's existed outside us is actually a reflection of what's going on within. When you go to vote, and then proudly you choose your president, on which base you actually know that you're making a right decision? Because you just divorced your husband 3 months ago. You didn't make a right decision either. How do you know that you will be able to raise the kids properly if you can't choose your partner? Oftentimes I would hear, I hate his father. I hate the father of my kid. That means I hate my kid. And that's where the drama starts. The healing begins with the truth. That maybe for some little moment.
We have a good comment.
Okay, read that. Thank you, Carl, for being with us there. Let's go.
Just because your partner changes doesn't mean there's something wrong with you or the choice you made at the time.
It's because
that you made that
you made them.
Okay, let me start over. It was flashing. So just because your partner changes doesn't mean there's something wrong with you or the choice you made at the time that you met them. It's because you've changed and decided to go a different direction than you are, and that was their choice to do, and the relationship can fall apart at that time, and it has nothing to do with your working at it or not, because somebody changes and you turn away from them and no longer want to be around them because they've changed does not mean you hate your children.
Okay, there you go. So let's observe. This question is very good, and Carol, thank you so much for being so nice in sharing these words with us. But let's see this. Grown people know when it's time to split. And we actually fail to break the relationship on the moment when we loved each other the most. Because after that, there was a culmination of the relationship. And then after that moment, everything was starting to slowly disintegrate and move on. And slowly, the days were not the same anymore. And everything had a different meanings because someone changed. But we stayed. If we went away from that person on time of pure love, then we would have the same nice feelings about that person still. The question becomes, which kind of relationship we do have with the father of our children inside the children. It's nothing to do with the children itself. Am I able to tell to my child how amazing you are, and you have such a nice, when you do that, you remind me of your father, and to tell him or tell her with a pure love of it is as it is, and then you allow your child to look exactly as their father is. Can I see the father or mother of my children inside my children exactly as he is or he was or he changed? Because as much as he changed, the part of him that lives within the child changed as well. And it's nothing to do. And how would we see that we have a problem? And you said, I love my child, but then we would see the relationship the children have with us. Are they becoming our parents? Are they behaving and wanting to save us from our own destiny because we are not capable of doing so? Oftentimes, our children would do that exactly as the dog would do the same, trying to save their parents. Because the parents, for some strange way, the children didn't want parents to suffer. And if the relationship was abusive, of course, let's say like that, then the kids also want to protect the mother from the father. And then rejection of the father within the son and the daughter starts. The kids doesn't want to be like their father, and like that, they're rejecting themselves. They're rejecting themselves. And again, we need to understand that when we are talking like this, we are talking just about we are observing the outcome. How should we observe the outcome of that? Let's say, do my children have a healthy relationship on their own? Do they have children? Do they have nice jobs? Are they having a healthy relationship with the money? Are they having a healthy relationship with the friends? Are they running around chasing their tail because they are looking to find something else that they can't find outside their heart? Because in their heart, they are 50% of the mom and 50% of the dad, no matter what we do think about that. Our opinion doesn't count. Our emotional entanglements with the person doesn't count. What's there, it's only divine force of the mother and the father. That's nothing to do with the person of who the mother and the father is. And that's something that oftentimes the parent can help their children overcome. I had that in my life because my father was abusive towards me, and I needed 40 years to understand that my mother was as well abusive, but on the other side with completely other way of abuse that I was actually not aware of. And then I turned on my father by protecting my mother. So what I become a partner to my mother. And then I become energetically, I become как скаже ovo?
What?
Kako se kaže suparnik?
Competitor.
I become a competitor to my father. And we always need to understand that actually we can say like that's maybe their blood 50-50, but they're raised mentally is 100% them. Carol, I know maybe sound like very emotional when it comes to this point, but also we need to understand that there is a science that's called epigenetic. And epigenetics called that actually the gene carries the emotional structure of both us, of mothers and the fathers. And it's not only mother and the father, but the parents of the parents as well. It's so-called epigenetics. It's so we inherit our shapes and forms and colors and everything, and that's our blood and tissue and everything. And we would think that the children, if raised mentally, because we have here a blood like a physical expression, and we have a mental as a 100%, as you said, but we also can't forget a very important part of the human wholeness that's called soul. Spiritual, how I am spiritually, how my soul is structured from the feelings of my grandparents and my parents that are soul spiritual beings that live in a physical body and have an intellect. So we can't overcome the spiritual component of development because that's exactly where our dogs are connected with us, like we are one human being, that like they are another human being. And there is a path out from there. Again, we don't need to agree or disagree or kind of try to find a way to navigate out from the topics that are not pleasant to understand, and especially when the life experiences are not in a way that they help us, how you say that?
I was adopted, and I am nothing like my blood mother or my blood father or any of my grandparents. I have researched it. I am more like the parents that adopted me.
Yeah, adoption is, in a family constellation, adoption is a very important way of understanding that parents that are physiological parents, we never know the reasons why the adoption happened and what was the reason for that. But we need to appreciate the life the way it is, because yes, we are offered a second chance by the people that are kind of embraced us in the way of taking us forward and caring us for, because our parents, for no matter what reason, they couldn't or they didn't want to do that. But that again doesn't take out the fact that our physical life wouldn't exist without our biological parents. And our biological parents are the reason of our physical existence today. And our soul is made of grandparents and parents and ancestors and all of those billions of the people that I just talk here about. That is very important point to understand of how this, how can I say, constellation works when it's implemented and understood from the completely different perception than emotional. What do I think and what do I feel and what do I am? What I need to do is to observe my life experience, my life outcome, my fears, my emotions, my connections to a people, to a business, to a money, to all kind of things that we need to understand, because all of those outcomes of our results and our life would be a direct link to havingness or not havingness, acceptance of that life the way it is. That's hard. For example, I know, in Serbia, that when the war was going on, I know for the Second World War was going on, I knew for fact that a lot of my father, for example, to take him, because my father was raised by his grandparents, and his mother was abandoning him after he remarried the guy that didn't want to take care about my father. And then the parents of my grandfather that died and was killed in this blood revenge took him and raised him. And his mother was living in the same village, just maybe a couple of blocks, let's say, away from him. And they didn't connect. They were not there for so long. And she was steadily staying there, of keeping her part of the story till the end of her life. And it was not that I didn't hear about that just before it's kind of like Or you can put a happy twist on it. I know I was giving up and hated my mother. Biological adoptive parents actually adopted me to keep their marriage together. Ha, that's also you can put a happy twist on it. If on it I know why I was giving up and I hated my mother of biological, my adopted parents actually adopted me to keep their marriage together. It's always, and let me just finish story of my father. So that story resonates completely with my blood as well, because my father was adopted actually by his own grandparents, and then the grandparents were ideally taking care about him, but he was raising without mother, and then he was looking how his mother raising 9 kids with a new husband and not having actually time for him. And then on the end, when she died, she died like 92 years old. I was by her side night before she passed away. And then on the funeral, her actually sister talked to me how actually she lived so judged by many people in that village because what she did to my father, but including him. But actually, they didn't have enough food to eat. At that time, in that place, they would not have food. The fame was something that was pretty much part of every single house because of the war. No cows, no time to go because all the male people were in the army. So the woman couldn't do nothing much to survive in that because it was part of the Serbia that's completely, in the woods, and you don't have too much land to have wheat and things like that. So why she left was to save him. Because now in that house, her piece of bread was left to him. And we could now, from this distance of 90 years, we can tell that the mother would never do that to her children, and the mother should take for their children, and always we need to tell, yes, of course, but what if by taking care about her children, she actually kills both of them because they just don't have food? So the interest of the mom, like a mother, that's why the best way to learn about the people and the human family is to observe the family of the wolf, because there the pure language of nature is applied without being emotionally involved in that. And I was doing the family constellation therapy to save my life first. And I was like a client for the family constellation sessions for almost 5 years. And then 10 years over that, I was studying to become a family constellation therapist. And out from that knowledge, I happened to put together the order of harmony, where actually we have this entanglement with the dogs, where always the dog's going to represent someone that is excluded from the family. And those excluded ones would be the ones that we usually hate, don't want to belong. And not only us, but our children. For example, if someone was, I hated my grandparents because he left and he remarried, the war was like that. And then my grandmother didn't want to talk about him. And then we just forgot about him. And there is, in the family, we just not talk about him. That energy will be present. And unfortunately, it will be present through our the life that is actually falling apart on a lot of other things. It's simply as that. Because every single time when we have any experience that we don't enjoy, this life is life of abundance. The life of freedom, abundance, joy, and happiness. Why it's not that? Why it's not that? Why it's not heaven on earth? Why we need to die and then to go to heaven or hell? Why all of that blessings and everything is happening after life? Why we need to go to work we don't like? Why we need to have money and want things that we do? Why we need to suffer bad bodies and have all kinds of anxieties? Why we are not healthy the way we should be? And then yet we live in the same house, but they don't get a cancer, or they don't have an anxiety. They eat the same food, but they don't have problems with the stomach that we have. Why all of this is so unique? And so it's because the energetical entanglement with something that we love or we hate. The soon we love something or hate something, we are putting a label. Soon we put label, we don't agree to life. If we don't agree to life, then we must pay the price. It's not abundant anymore because I have my opinion how it should be. And if I have opinion how it should be, then I deny my existence today because it's not as I am, because I should be different, because the circumstances should be different. But if I don't agree to who I am today, how the heck am I going to create my future tomorrow? Because the only person I was going to miss is me. Because if something would be different, I would turn different, but then I couldn't do this, what I can do now, because if order to do and live the happy life, I need to be different. But then how to become different? Because all of the things that I blame are far gone. They doesn't exist anymore. And that's where the freezingness, and that's kind of like every one of us has a choice. This is like a life of choice and freedom, and everyone does what thinks it serves him. The reason why I started the podcast and the Pure Love and Harmony, and it's not only that. These kind of podcasts are to raise the questions and awarenesses. And I healed my life, and this is nothing else, just sharing my journey of abused little child on a level of suicide, sharing with his life with a dog, and thinking that he's a professional dog handler up to the age of 38. And after that, I was thinking that I actually should teach people why do they have dog and how to have a dogs and better relationship with the dogs. Where I actually turned into understanding that there is a complete other science of why the dogs serve humans without helping them do any more hunting and guarding and doing this and doing that, because we don't ask that from dogs to do that anymore. What are dogs doing in our life today? Saving our lives by representing something that is missing in our life. And a lot of the idea of how to get out from here is to embrace the truth, and that will lead to the free mind. The mind that doesn't judge is a mind that accepts. More terrible things to accept, the bigger support we gain, because the facts wouldn't change. What is changing is the peace over facts within our heart. And once we have a peace with everything the way it is without judgment, and it's a journey, but the moment we achieve that, at once our moment of life changes and shifts from you are like that and I'm not in peace with this person and not in peace in that person and I hate that person and I can't see this person and I'm this and I'm that. All of that gonna vanish, and at once our life gonna just twist for like not 360 but 180, and then at the same place where we had fame and uncertainty and questioning and doubting, at once the blossom of the faith and the blossom of respect and the blossom of abundance and blossom of happiness and blossom of joy in every aspect of the human life starts to be felt. And that's the only way to inspire the children, because you don't preach children how they should be happy. If you don't know, if I can't preach to my children how to be happy if I can teach them happiness through experience the happiness. And the happiness is not a process that's going to happen outside ourselves. When the president changed, when I moved to some country, when in the winter, it's not winter, now it's summer, there later is this and that, and everything's something outside myself, and I just wait for the perfect timing, and then I'm going to finally be happy when I finish the school, when I buy the car, when I pay off the mortgage, when I come home, when I retire, when I die, probably I'm going to resurrect, and then I'm going in foreverness in the heaven or in the hell. But then I guess it would be too late. So in order to inspire kids, we need to live a happy life. And the only way to live the happy life, is to find peace first with our parents, and then with everyone that help us survive. Our partners, our business partners, everyone that invested in us, something little, no matter how small was that helped us become of who we are. In the good, in the bad way. There is a great task that you can put to yourself. It's a very nice, I already have it. You can have it as your homework. Don't take it from here. But try to make a list of 100 people that impacted your life. Regardless, is it a negative or positive? Impacted your life. So without those 100 people, you wouldn't be who you are. And then try to write a letter of gratefulness to every one of those people. Start with the one that you usually always start with the parents, mother and the father, biological. Then start with the others that gave us the other chance. No matter why. It's not important why. Oftentimes, in the adopted children constellation, we always see that oftentimes there is a developed idea of adopting children. Oftentimes, they might save the marriage, but most likely it won't save the marriage. Oftentimes they take the child to save the marriage, but oftentimes that would be the reason of marriage actually not going to survive, because the dynamic of the family becomes completely different. But it often can be of course, this is in general, but not necessarily. We always need to understand that there is always unique perception of the family system that can be generalized, right? So, and then for the adopted babies, is always like, did they want a baby, regardless which baby? So they didn't want me, they want baby. So they didn't want me, they want baby. And then the kids also, the parents didn't want me, like Sasha. My parents wanted the baby, and it just happened to be me. So how much they love me or how much they love the baby, they wanted to have a children because their parents told them it's supposed to have children. So it's always, the children always go through that environment. I was going also through that mind that my parents actually adopted me, especially after my sister was born. As a child, I was thinking actually that I don't even belong to that family, I must be adopted. And that is what I was growing up like, thinking that my biological family is actually not my family. Because I hated my father so much, and my mother, because she doesn't do nothing of removing me from that environment. So I started at one point to hate them both. On the end, I ended up alone and lonely. Even though I had a great career and everyone was clapping me and parties and money and everything, but I was lonely and alone because I didn't know how to find myself, because myself wasn't existing. Until I didn't went to a spring of my life and finally drank the energy of life. That's love. And the love exists on a spring of our life. And it's a responsibility of the child to go there and take what's theirs. In the constellation, very important two movements. One of the laws is a balance in giving and taking. No one is going to give us what's ours. So we can't receive what's ours. The receiving is a passive action of waiting forever that I should receive something that's mine. And if you don't give me what's mine, then I get angry at you because you are not giving me. So because you are not giving me, I can't receive. But even if you are giving me, if I'm not taking it from you, I'm not gonna receive it. So taking is very active, reactive action, where the kid and the person is going to take on this, wherever it's something that belongs to him, it's going there and I take what's mine in this relationship. I take what's mine from my parents. I take what's I take from everything that I am. I'm taking. And I'm giving back everything that's not mine. I'm giving back all the anger. I'm giving back all the burden. I'm giving back where it does belong because it's too heavy for me to carry. And if we don't achieve through the life the balance, we would always be somewhere, we would always feel that something bigger and greater is missing. And then we would go through the life taking the things that are not ours. I would take this and they take that. And wherever I go, I'll take something because I'm missing something. So I go through the life by taking wherever I can. But usually those are the wrong things. We need to take power. We need to take love. We need to take strength. We need to take talents. We need to take support. We need to take self-confidence. All of that is within the spring of our life. And then why, oftentimes I talk about that a lot, why we can't approach those things? It's because they are blurred. The divine source of motherhood and the divine source of the fatherhood is covered by the persons of the mother and the father. That I'm emotionally entangled and hurt maybe, for no matter what reason, because they are persons as well. They are not gods. They are making mistakes like we do. I know that I did everything best for my children, but go ask them what they think about their father. How many times I failed? How many times I was doing the best in their interest, yet they got it like completely different. So now if I would put myself in the shoes of my parents, they would say the same. The things I experienced bad maybe were often their consciousness, and the idea of what they could do for their son would be always something that they tried their best. But best from the perception of the parents is not always the best received from the child perception. So in order for us to embrace that, is to put ourselves in the shoes of our parents. For example, it would be a great exercise to do it for the both parents, my biological parents, to just put myself in their shoes. And then for my own peace, to understand that the life had a path and destiny of mine and of theirs. And then to thankful them until they didn't, because oftentimes the parents, because no matter what reason, oftentimes the parents are going to lose that divine sourceness, and they're going to pay with their life and destiny and sources and resources how they should pay for that, what they did to their child. But if the child hold the grief and anger, that's going to kill the child, and actually doesn't belong to child. It belongs there to the parents. And why it's so hard? It's because the child is actually sad because of the parents. And it's a big pain that the child can't handle. And then it's easier that pain turn into anger. Because if we look under the anger, it's always sadness. And if we look after the sadness, there is always very big sorrow. And under the sorrow, there is always very big pain. It's painful for the child to go through those experiences, no matter how old the child is. It would carry it through the life. And then put yourself in the shoes of your parents, and then put yourself in the shoes of your step-parents and understand them both. How rich is a family of having 4 parents, where every one of them had their own little destiny and piece of the journey that needed to shape this wonderful possibility of your life, and everything that's abundant in your life from taking from 4 springs. Because every one of them contributed to your life. And that's richness of you and your kids and everyone that goes after that in that line. It's kind of like, but it's a lot as well, can be a lot of burden. But at the same token, if that burden is in that context of taking what's mine and giving what's not mine, creating that balance within, then kind of that becomes a tremendous support of the life. Everything is the same. Nothing would change in history. All the actions and events would remain the same. Just what changes is in my heart. I remain in peace with that. And then since I have a peace in my heart, and that peace I radiate everywhere else. In my relationship, with the money, on the business, with my clients, with my dogs, with my children, with my friends, with money, with winning, with the losing, with the life challenging. At once, I'm not alone. I feel the support of my divine parents that goes through divine, to that divineness flows through the parents that gave me the birth and that gave me the life. The life, I mean, like supported my life so I can survive long enough so I can thrive. So that's, thank you. Thank you so much for putting up such nice and profound messages of your heart and your soul, because it's not easy. It's not easy, but it's for healing. It's for profound healing of the truth, because the only way to understand the present and then make the present be foundation of the future is to accept and say yes to the past without judgment. And once we will be able to do that, it's not easy, but it's the only way. Once we will be able to do that, our life shifts overnight. Because we are in peace with who and what we are today. That includes all wants and all don't wants. And from there we inspire future. And the most importantly, we set an example to our kids how is to embrace the life in its fullness. Oh my God, like we kind of like, we did this like for 1.5 hours, let's say, but it was like very, very nice journey. Thank you, Carl. And that's so nice when you kind of interact with us and talk and share your opinions and your experiences and all kind of those things. And I'm always open for more. In any private talks and chats or whatever, if you feel like someone likes to talk about their experiences in public and live, that I would always encourage, because those things are very healing for the heart on its own, because for the heart and the soul, for sure, because then we show responsibility and we show bravery and we show vulnerability, and in that actually we show our humanness. And we agree to our human nature, and the humans are not perfect. And then we start somehow embracing our unperfectness. And then we become perfect by being unperfect. And that's a healing on its own. That's a healing on its own. That's a healing on its own.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you so much for your time staying with us in tuned in such a long show. I guess like this was a nice night, a nice evening. I love you all with a full and open heart, and everything you shared with me, it's just more than a blessing. And I look forward to seeing you next Thursday and on some new episode that actually might take us to an unknown journey. Have a wonderful evening and see you soon. Bye.